The 76ers are finally realizing something that has been bubbling all season long, and after hearing Joel Embiid and Paul George talk last night, it is more evident than ever that even these guys are now admitting what is going on. So we'll listen to what they had to say. I need to rant about one Tyrese Maxey take that is going around, and I think the NBA still hates the process, as was seen last night in a video you may have missed with Nick Nurse and the referees. We'll talk about all of it here on Philly Take with RB, but welcome into the show. I am RB. We talk about this team every single day, and we have covered them for years. It's funny, a lot of people recently are saying, man, you guys are so negative about the 76ers. Why can't you find any joy? They're 10-9. I'll be honest, man, I don't like this season at all after the first 4 to 5 games so far, and it's not because of how they're playing. It's not because of their record. It is the fact that we are now 20 games in almost, and I have no idea what this team is or what they can be. And it feels like a lot of the same from last year because of players missing games. I know injuries are widespread in the NBA, but when it comes to the 76ers, they do it like no other. And after hearing Joel Embiid and Paul George talk last night, it really opened my eyes to a lot because we've been saying a lot of things, and I believe what we have all been talking about with this team, but they kind of know it too. So here is what Joel Embiid had to say about the injury, the recovery process, and everything else going on over the last 9 games that he missed.
I'm good. Keep playing. Keep playing, with each other and then keep getting better. Sometimes it responds well, sometimes it doesn't. And, if you feel like you got a chance to play, you play. And, it's not too bad. Then if it doesn't respond, the way you want to, then make that decision.
Do you hear the way that he's talking, man? It feels like he's just down and depressed, and I can't blame him. I mean, this is a former MVP just a couple years later who's had his knee operated on multiple times. He just doesn't seem like he has his joy, and it really sucks. It really is frustrating because Joel Embiid is going out there trying to give it his all to an organization that he has given his heart to, and his body is just not holding up. And the conclusion last night is that the Philadelphia 76er minute restrictions are not going to work in the long term. Last game versus the Hawks was a perfect example. It goes into double overtime, and the Sixers cannot play Paul George and VJ Edgecombe in the first overtime due to minute restrictions, and then they get to double overtime, and they can't play Joel Embiid due to minute restrictions. And the Sixers have never communicated any plan about these minute restrictions. Are they going to ease up at the All-Star break? Are they going to stop come playoff time if they even make the playoffs? What is the plan? Or are you just going to get to the first round of the playoffs and hope that your team can blow out the other team in the first 30 minutes? Then when these guys have to come off the floor and they can't play anymore, hopefully the rest of the crew can hold on to the lead. Is that the plan? There is no plan. And what really does not make any sense to me at all, thinking logically here, is the 76ers have these guys getting re-injured. And they're already limited in terms of minutes. So they're not even at full strength yet and at full capability. And Joel Embiid got re-injured for 9 games. And Paul George can't play every single game and can't even play the full game when he does play. So if they're already banged up now, what do you think's going to happen when you let up off those restrictions? It does not make any sense at all. And here is where Joel Embiid opens up more about the burden that he and Paul George are putting on Tyrese Maxey.
The only thing I'll say is I do feel bad, but it's unfortunate. You can only control what you can control. I don't think there's and if anybody thinks that I don't want to play every game, that's the problem. But I think history has shown that I would do anything just to play one game of basketball. So, I do feel bad. Obviously, the minutes that he has to play, the load that he has to handle, I've been there. I know how it feels. But, you just gotta, have the trust in, what you're doing and in God, and, be okay with the fact that whatever happens, happens.
Whatever happens, happens. Listen, man, Joel is literally saying, I don't care what you think about me. He said, I will do whatever it takes just to play one game of basketball, and says, yeah, I really feel bad for the burden that Paul and I are putting on Tyrese Maxey, but unfortunately that's how it is. We can't do anything else. He says, I've been there. I know what it's like to play with a bunch of guys who really can't hold their weight, and I have to carry the team. He has been through that. He's been through so much, man. But at the end of the day, we sit here, and I understand why the Sixers are doing what they're doing, because Joel Embiid now has 3 more years coming up on an extension after this season. Paul George has 2 more years on his contract after this season. Nobody's going to take those contracts. So the Sixers are stuck here between a rock and a hard place. They have nowhere to go. They have no next move other than to try to ramp these guys up and acclimate them back to the level of play that they used to play at. But it just does not feel like they're going to get there. And what really ticks me off is people out there that say Tyrese Maxey can't hold down the fort. He can't lead. All Tyrese Maxey has done from coming into training camp and saying that they want to set a new culture is try to exemplify that. He is top 5 in a lot of categories right now. He is having an all-star season, and he's done it mostly without his 2 max co-stars. So anybody that wants to say anything about Tyrese Maxey should leave the conversation right away. And a lot of people then revert to, well, look at how the Sixers look without Joel Embiid and Paul George on the floor. But they never finish the full context of that sentence. What you should be saying after that is, imagine if the $100 million that doesn't consistently show up on the floor for the Sixers was replaced with 2 or 3 really good players that could help complement what Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe and Quentin Grimes and Jared McCain are trying to do. So yeah, Joel Embiid and Paul George don't play games, but it's also the opportunity cost, because the $100 million that is constantly on the bench can't be used for anything. I say all that to say we all appreciate Joel, at least I do, and I've been one to die on the Joel Embiid hill over the last couple years, but there's just nowhere to go. Even last night, he did not look that good physically. He's very great as a talent that he's still going to put up numbers, but if you actually watch the game, he's having a tough time jumping off of his knee. He can barely rebound. He can barely defend or move in space. And it really just sucks to see him at this point in his career. And another guy that is really frustrating to watch is Paul George. And here's what Paul George had to say about his injury situation.
Yeah, I feel good. I asked for more minutes out there, just how the game was going, how my body was feeling. Back got a little tight, but, you know, that's going to happen.
First off, you said you asked for more minutes. Well, you didn't ask for them in overtime. You know, they had to put you on the bench, which probably contributed to the Sixers losing the game, as well as VJ and then Joel Embiid. So I don't want to hear that, man.
That was the most minutes I've kind of played consecutively. So it's good. You know, it's nothing to be concerned.
We are 20 games into the season, and Paul George says that is the most minutes I've played consecutively. Do you see how this is a recipe for disaster?
But I feel good being back on the floor. Again, I think it's just try to get rhythm. The biggest thing is just trying to find rhythm and trying to keep rhythm and you know, seeing where shots will come and just put the work in now. You know, I think I'm kind of, you know, the bird leaving the nest, getting to fly and flap my wings a little bit more. So
I'm the bird leaving the nest to flap my wings and try to fly a little more. I mean, come on, man. You're telling me essentially the Sixers medical staff, training staff, whatever, has no plan in place. It should be 1, 2, 3, 4, A, B, C, D. Here's what we're going to do. Then we're going to move to this step, then this step, then this step. But these guys can't even stay on the floor without hurting for a couple games. So there is no structure. There is no step. Now, Nick Nurse was also a part of this game last night, and Nick Nurse was on the bench. Sleeper is a fantasy sports and real money gaming app that is taking things to the next level. They are the best one-stop shop for all your sports needs. You can chat on games in real time with other users. You can get the latest news, scores, and alerts right at your fingertips. And you can play in fantasy leagues and win real money on picks contests. With Sleeper's Picks, all you have to do is choose anywhere from 2 to 8 of your favorite players. This could be pre-game, game, live game, or even across different sports. And then you just pick the over or under, more or less than the predicted stats. That's it. You can make these entries in less than 30 seconds with a $1 minimum entry. And on Sleeper, if your picks win, you can get up to 1,000 times your payout. So right now, download the Sleeper app, use the promo code PhillyTake, and get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. And right now, as a special promo, Sleeper's actually offering a free $20 entry with no deposit required. All you have to do is sign up and use the code PhillyTake to claim your free promo. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today. But he ended up flying up off the bench because at the end of regulation, when the Sixers had a insane three, thanks to a Paul George offensive rebound, Maxey hits the three. Then they come down the other end and get a stop. And you have about a second left on the game clock. And if you can see on the right here, Nick Nurse comes charging out onto the floor, and his hands are in the shape of a T right in front of the referee. And they blatantly ignore him. And what made me even more mad was the pool report right after the game where they talked to the referees. The question was, it looked like Nick Nurse was trying to call a timeout from the bench with about 2 seconds left. Why was he not granted a timeout? And the referee says, because with the mad scramble for the ball and Paul George getting it and heaving a last-second shot, the timeout was never recognized. So, first off, that makes absolutely no sense. Because of a scramble for the ball, you're not going to call a timeout. Where's the scramble? You mean 2 or 3 guys jumping for a rebound? Paul George has the ball. There's no one around him. So I honestly think that the referees do not like Philadelphia and the NBA hates the process. I mean, that is the only explanation here. I'm telling you, some of the other teams in the NBA, the Lakers, the Knicks, and those types of teams would not have to deal with this. And what made me crack up even more in a video you probably missed last night was in overtime, Nick Nurse comes out, and after crashing out at the end of the fourth quarter, he makes sure that the referees see him. You see Nurse get up off the bench here. He's going to hold up the tee, and then he's going to hold it high over his head, and he's going to walk onto the floor. Nick Nurse is actually hilarious, man. Nick Nurse knew what to do there, man. He's like, yo, do you guys see me this time? I'm here. You see me? So anyway, man, just a ridiculous way to go down. At the end of the day, the Sixers should have handled business against a shorthanded Hawks team. It's just really, really puzzling. And Maxey plays 52 minutes, and PG and Embiid go above their regular minute restrictions. So who's to say they're even going to play next game? Appreciate everybody for tapping in. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. As always, I will catch you on the next one. Peace.